Hello everyone. Today we will be doing your chapter number 10 of your SST, Rise of Independent States in the 18th Century. I hope whatever we have learned from 1 to 9 you all have understood well. Go through it once again, read it properly. You will be able to understand. If there is any doubt, you can comment and ask. Later Mughals. After the death of Aurangzeb, 1707 AD, the Mughal power declined and several independent states emerged in various parts of the country. In fact, the disintegration of the Mughal Empire had started during the last 25 years of Aurangzeb time period. There were serious revolts of the Rajput, the Jats, Bundelas, Satnamis, and Sikhs. The rise of Marathas in the Deccan too shook the foundation of Mughal Empire. Aurangzeb's death in 1707 AD led to another war of succession in which Mozam, the elder son, emerged victoriously and ascended the throne under the title of Bahadur Shah I. At the time of his accession, he was more than 63, mild, tolerant, learned, and generous. He was too weak to suppress revolts. He died in 1712. After Bahadur Shah I, Jahangir Shah came, then Siyar, then Shah again. They all came, but all were incompetent and pleasure-seeking. They took no interest in the affairs of the government. That is why many provinces became independent. And Marathas also, they were emerging and they occupied Gujarat, Malwa and other parts of Bundelkhand. Rajputs also freed themselves from the central control. The invasion of Nadir Shah of Persia was the greatest blow to the Mughal Empire. Nadir Shah massacred thousands of people in Delhi and plundered the city. His reign of terror continued for almost 2 months. On his return from Delhi, he took away the peacock throne and the famous Kohinoor diamond with him. The Sikhs, they emerged as a militant community under Guru Hargobind. We have already read about them in the previous chapter. The first 4 gurus of the Sikhs were basically reformers. The 5th was assassinated by the order of Jahangir. Arjan Dev had given the Sikhs a permanent organization. The 9th Guru, Tegh Bahadur Ji, was killed under the orders of Aurangzeb. The 10th and the last Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, he organized the Sikhs into Khalsa in 1699, which we have already studied in the previous chapter. We have studied about the Amritsar temple also. Guru Gobind Singh dead, Banda Bahadur organized the Sikhs and captured the region between the Satluj and the Yamuna rivers. He tried to establish an independent kingdom and issued coins in the name of Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh. He was captured by the Mughals, imprisoned and tortured to death. His followers called him Sacha Badshah, the true emperor. The military power of the Sikhs, though weakened, could not be completely destroyed. The 10th of the Guru Nanak and the Guru Gobind Singh were deeply rooted in their hearts. They began to organize themselves into a Sikh state. The disorder and confusion in Punjab after the invasion of Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah helped the rise of the Sikhs as a great power. In 1764 AD, the Sikhs proclaimed their sovereignty in Punjab. They organized themselves into 12 misls and established small principalities like Nabha, Kapurthala, Patiala, etc. Towards the end of the 18th century, the Sikhs were able to establish a strong sovereignty state in Punjab under the leadership of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Now we'll talk about Rajput. The anti-Hindu policies of Aurangzeb had alienated the 3 main Rajput states of Mewar, Marwar and Empire. Prominent Rajput rulers like Rana Amar Singh of Mewar, Ajit Singh and Savai Raja Jai Singh wanted to withdraw their allegiance to the Mughal and assert their independence. And this is what they did actually. These Rajput rulers were able to mark their kingdom strong and prosperous. Jai Singh founded the city Jaipur, and it was the first ever planned city in India. He was deeply interested in mathematics and astronomy. He built observatories in Jaipur, Delhi, Ujjain, Banaras, and Mathura. He got many works on mathematicians translated into Sanskrit. What about Jats? They occupied the region around Delhi, Agra, and Mathura. They were hardy tribe farmers by occupation. They are known for their valors, energy, martial dash, and perseverance. Churaman and Rajaram were their famous village headmen. Badan Singh organized the scattered Jats into strong army and constructed many forts, including the forts of Bharatpur and Deep. He laid the foundation of new ruling house of Bharatpur. Mughal Emperor Ahmad Shah gave him the title of Raja. His son Surajmal extended his territories till Agra, Mathura, Meerut, Aligarh, Etawah, Dholpur, and some places of Haryana. So he established the first Jat kingdom, Awadh. It became independent in 1722 AD under Sadat Khan, a Persian Shia. He was appointed as governor of Awadh by the Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah. Sadat Khan rapidly rose to power and fame. At the time of Nader Shah invasion, he was deputed by the emperor to negotiate with Nader Shah to desist from destroying Delhi in return of a large amount of money. But he betrayed the emperor and the country. So when Nader Shah did not get any money which was promised to him, he ordered a general massacre in Delhi. Out of utter humiliation and shame, he committed suicide. Safdar Jung, he succeeded the Sadat Khan as the governor of Awadh, and then Sujahud-Dawla succeeded Jung as wazir. He indulged in pleasure and other wasteful exercises. He played an important role in the history of North India. He was finally defeated in the Battle of Allahabad, and Awadh fell into the hands of Britishers. Bengal. The province of Bengal was the first to become independent. Mr. Khan was appointed as the Diwan of Bengal, and in 1717 he made the governor of Bengal. He was a strict and efficient administrator. He effectively reorganized the revenue system and introduced ISRA system. Under this system, the collection of revenue was given to contractors, who later on became zamindars, and many of them got the title of Rajas and Maharajas. This created a new landed aristocracy in Bengal. He also encouraged agriculture, industry, and trade, and brought prosperity in Bengal. This was the very nice thing which he did. What about Mysore? It became independent state under Hyder Ali. In the early 18th century, the kingdom of Mysore was being ruled by Chikka Krishna Raja, who was mere puppet in the hands of his minister Nand Raja and Dev Raja. Hyder Ali started his career as petty officer in the Mysore army. By his merit, skill, dash, and diplomacy, he became the Fauzdar. He raised an independent army and overthrew Nand Raja and Dev Raja and established his authority in the state of Mysore. Later, he conquered Bednor and Kanara and set up his capital at Seringrapatnam. He fought with the Nizam and Marathas to maintain independence. Later, he was defeated by the Britishers and died in 1782 AD. Tipu Sultan succeeded his father, Hyder Ali. He also fought bravely against the British to gain his territories. He was the first Indian king to use Western method of administration and warfare. Hyderabad was formed by 6 Deccan Subhas of the Mughal Empire. In 1724 AD, Chinpulch Khan, Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah minister, migrated to the Deccan and established the state of Hyderabad under the title of Nizam-ul-Mulk Asaf Jah. He was first Nizam of Hyderabad. He was a shrewd diplomat. He tried to check the growing power of Marathas. He ruled the Deccan independently till his death. He was an able administrator. He promoted trade, followed a policy of religious tolerance. After his death, there was a war of succession. Political stability could be restored in 1762 by the accession of Nazim Ali, who ruled for more than 4 decades. The Marathas. They inhabited the hilly region of Pune and Konkan in Maharashtra. They were mainly cultivators and soldiers. During the reign of Shahjahan, some groups of Marathas were involved in looting in the area of Bijapur. They were brave and sturdy warriors. They were inspired by the Bhakti literature of Marathi, and the military training instilled in them the feeling of nationalism. Under the leadership of Shivaji, they grew powerful. In 18th century, the Marathas emerged as the most formidable power in India. Their preeminence in the political sphere came to be openly recognized by the later Mughals. Factors contributing to the rise of the Marathas' power. The rise of the Marathas to power is attributed to the illustration leadership provided to them by Chhatrapati Shivaji in the second half of 17th century. The tough geographical environment developed in the Marathas, the exceptional qualities of self-reliance, courage, perseverance, and above all, pride in the dignity of man. The Broken Hill Ranges afforded them natural protection against the enemies. Besides, Marathas women added to the strength and patriotism of men. Popular bhakti saints like Tukaram, Ramdas, etc., they created in their minds the abiding sense of mutual love and faith in one God. They used to use Marathi language. Then came Shivaji. He was born in 1627 AD. He was the son of Shashi Bhonsle, Apiti Jahangir in the Bijapur state. He received military training from Dadaji Konkandev. His mother, Jijabai, was a pious lady. She narrated many stories of bravery from epics and Puranas and instilled patriotism in him. He grew into a great politician and warrior. He organized the Maratha hill tribes into a military force. He had an ambition to establish a Hindu power in India. He captured many forts, and also his rising power made him an enemy of the Bijapur state and the Mughal viceroy of Deccan. There ensued a series of long and protracted battles. Shivaji killed Afzal Khan, the general of the Sultan of Bijapur, Aurangzeb. He killed so many people. And then, after this also, he managed to escape from the prison along with his son. On return to his court, Shivaji resumed his activities against the Mughals. He plundered Surat and proclaimed himself emperor. Aurangzeb had to recognize him as an independent ruler. He crowned as Chhatrapati at a grand darbar held at Raigad, which is near Pune. He laid the foundation of Maratha state. After this, he carried on many campaigns, and he also captured Jinji, Vellora, and some parts of Mysore. When he was there, what about his administration? How was the administration at that time? So he had a council of 8 ministers. We call them Ashpradha Mandal. The Peshwa, the Senapati, the Pandit Rao were the most important minister at that time. He divided his empire into prants, which were further divided into paragranas and tarams. So this is all about how was his administration at that time. He introduced a new source of revenue from the territories subjugated by the Marathas. These territories had to pay 2 kinds of taxes, Chaud and Sardesh Mukhi, which helped Shivaji to maintain huge force, but it deprived his state of the goodwill of the neighboring kingdoms. He maintained a well-trained and disciplined army with a strong cavalry and infantry. His soldiers received regular cash salaries. He insisted on high moral values among his soldiers. His army was well-trained in guerrilla warfare. Shivaji also maintained a naval fleet to curb the activities of pirates. So he was a very good administrator. He maintained very good army. Everything was well managed under him. So after his death, what happened? His son Shambhaji ascended the throne, but he and his successors were weak. They could not retain their territory. Moreover, after the death of Aurangzeb, the Marathas were divided into 2 hostile camps. At this time, a new system of Maratha government was evolved under the leadership of Balaji Vishwanath, the Peshwa of Sahu. He restored peace and order and also introduced several reforms that improved the financial condition of the Marathas kingdom. Balaji Vishwanath increased the power and prestige of the Marathas. Baji Rao, the son of Balaji Vishwanath, was also a shrewd statesman and an able administrator. He organized a union of independent Marathas chiefs known as Marathas Confederacy. The 4th Maratha chiefs were the Gaikwad of Baroda, Bhonsle of Nagpur, Holkar, and Scindia of Gwalior. The Marathas reached the height of their power, prestige, glory under Balaji Bajirao, the third Peshwa. However, the Marathas were defeated in the third battle of Panipat by Ahmad Shah Abdali. Their dream of establishing a Hindu empire was broken. Madhav Rao I, the son of Balaji Bajirao, was also a brave and talented statesman. He defeated the Rohilas, Rajput and Jats. After his death, Maratha Empire disintegrated and the rule of Peshwa came to an end. This is all about this chapter. It's a very nice and interesting chapter. So with the end of this chapter, we have come to the end of your history portion of your book. In the next chapter, we'll start with, we have environment geography. We'll start with geography. Thank you.